Will you look for a hat? Hey guys, we're live. Cool. So I'm gonna kind of get set up and find my screens and such. So I'm actually going to do the Jurassic World tonight. I mostly like to watch it in the background, but it's not fully loaded, so I can't really skim through it. So I'll just kind of play it as we go, and then hopefully I'm able to kind of guide through it. I was thinking of just doing a particular segment where we can just discuss actors. So last night I was mostly going into just the importance of actors in their roles, and just playing around with that a little bit. So what I'll do is I'll do a brief segment on the intro to Jurassic World. I'll skim through what I remember of it. I can't do an event by event, but what I'll do is I'll heavily segue into the actor portion of the conversation thereafter to what I can't see here. Anywho, so let me pull up the screens real fast so I can look at the actresses and actors. Cool. So Jurassic World was just released in 2015. So it was actually really funny. With this one, my daughter was like super excited to see it. She wanted to see it her birthday weekend. So I know for sure that it came out after June 12th last year. So probably that following weekend. So it's been quite a few years since the last film, right? So it's 2015 that this one was released, but the last film before that, let me check the stats. So you can get all of them in like a box set right now. So we got like all three of the Jurassic Parks, and then so we need to get the new one now. Anyways, so the story is quite different. So the last Jurassic Park was released in 2001, which is really crazy, right? So it's been 15 years since the last film. So they're rebooting that franchise. I would imagine that we're going to see a couple more. I can't recall actually seeing Alan Grant. No, okay, so bear with me. Let me pull it up real fast. In the new one, I don't think we got to see the old people. So it was just a completely new guy that was doing these types of projects. So no, I don't think we got to see Alan Grant. And Alan Grant was the original scientist, who's Sam Neill, who escaped in the first two, right? So we don't have any of the past characters. So there's nobody. It's a completely new story. And the setup, I'm not even certain about the setup. So cool. I'm just going to segue right into the character stuff, and we'll just leave the Jurassic Park behind. I'm going to pull up the IMDb for Christopher Pratt. So the last good movie that I saw with Christopher Pratt, obviously, was the Marvel one. Let me pull it up. Yeah, the Guardians of the Galaxy, right? So the movie starred him, and as is this one. So he is becoming, a household name, more prominent with more and more films. So over the last few years, it was good getting to see him in things like Delivery Man, which I very much enjoyed with Vince Vaughn. So he was a supporting actor in that one. So he was the best friend, and Vince Vaughn in Delivery Man, he was going and donating sperm, and his sperm is accidentally inseminated into a lot of different people. So it's like an adoption agency thing, right? So he's not supposed to know all of these things, but somehow his particular sperm went to many different donors all at once, so all of his seeds were existing all at once. So anyways, the story is a little extreme and funny. The Christopher Pratt's part was supporting character, so it's very cool to see him go from smaller roles like that. So other people that are in the Jurassic World are Bryce Dallas Howard, Christopher Pratt. So he's leaning he is becoming very, like I mentioned earlier, very prominent in his role. So they span from, so he's usually a real funny guy. So now him coming out and being like the new next action star. So in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was very ripped in that one, right? So cool. What I'm gonna do is let's discuss some other characters. What I like to talk about is so some odd things that we were discussing before is just the importance of the characters in their roles, right? So the actors themselves, and the importance that they have on the film, right? So one character who has been very we've been very skeptical of is for casting and even for anything is Aquaman, right? So as we go into the Justice League and as Ben Affleck just hit Batman, and then even the new choices for the Man of Steel. Let me grab those characters. And we've talked about several other things that have casted several other people, like the Man of Steel movie has a character that I know from. So we've, in prior episodes, I did Rain. Several characters in Rain were in other things like the Tudors. And I was just saying how Rain and Spartacus and certain things like that opened up the doorway, for me to watch other things like Tudors and Borges. So with the Man of Steel choice, his name is Henry Cavill. So Henry Cavill was he was a supporting actor in Tudors. So Tudors is one that I started and is very obscure and very so that content is just things that I'm not very interested in. So these actors, they bring such charisma, they bring such character to a lot of these characters. So it's unique to catch some of these portrayals in that way. So particularly with Henry Cavill, for him to go from Tudors and some very obscure like television content, and then make that ascension into hit roles, just like very much like Christopher Pratt. I was saying he was in things like Delivery Man, and I mean he did other things before that too. So I mean, he has been getting big over the years, but earlier on, I mean, he was not very identifiable. I haven't seen a lot of these films that so yeah, I mean, he comes from things like Everwood and the OC, so I don't much like to talk on things that I've never seen, but those for me. So in Moneyball, so also supporting actor. So there's quite a few films that he was just supporting for a lot of years up till about 2011, 2012. So let's see. And I'm not sure which one was his first debut one, right? So, but I know in things like just recently that we've seen like 2013, Delivering Man, So right after that was the Lego Movie, and he was a voice. And then, I mean, I guess the first big one that I've seen him in a blockbuster film where he's plastered everywhere, you know, like Tom Cruise or Will Smith or something. You know what I'm saying? So Chris Pratt is at that level right now, due to films like The Guardians of the Galaxy and you know, Jurassic Park now. So I'm sure we'll get to see him in some very cool movies soon. But I mean, these ones that are slated for the future, it says here, the Magnificent Seven, which you know, to the extent of my knowledge, that sounds like a remake, right? No. Anywho, the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, it says, and then it says he's going to be Star-Lord in the Avengers Infinity War Part 1. So those are going to be small things, but I would imagine we get to see him, more of him, you know, like in Guardians of the Galaxy and then other films. So he does a lot of, he is not one that only does Marvel stuff. He does do other stuff all the time. So other people like Robert Downey Jr., you know what I'm saying? I don't think he does many other films anymore these days. But and I've definitely seen the Captain America guy in a couple of films as well. So the one on Netflix with him in the train. Let me pull it up real quick. So Chris Evans, you know, he was doing a lot of stuff before, but before the Avengers as Captain America, but now, you know, I haven't seen him in. Oh yes, so Chris Evans is the one I'm talking about, yeah, and he was in Snowpiercer, right? So you can see that one on Netflix right now, 2013. So the Avengers was 2012. Since then, he's done a couple things. So Snowpiercer, but you know, some single name titles. So single name titles are kind of just stuff that is that weekend and stuff, right? So like Dick and Jane, and so just single nighters, you know, like films that have big stars, but that is just mostly made for a weekend. You'll never really see some of these films again, right? So, and we are discussing that yesterday too. So, just how, you know, some films are prominent and some films are just like filler films, right? So, the Jason Momoa, there with me. So, from Game of Thrones, so that's what I was talking about is over the past couple of years, is a lot of people have been grabbing the mantles of Marvel characters and stuff like that. So The Rock is about to play Black Adam. So, and then that's from the Captain Marvel story, right? So, I'm not sure who Captain Marvel is going to be at this point. So there, we are already slated for a Justice League film, and Ben Affleck was asked to be Batman in the film. So I believe Henry Cavill is supposed to be Superman as well. So I don't really know the actress who is Wonder Woman, but I would imagine she would be coming back as well. So there, I would highly doubt that Green Lantern is going to be Ryan Reynolds again. So I'm sure that part will be recasted, thank God, and hopefully, you know. But yeah, so Jason was considered for Aquaman, right? So, you know, as I was saying before, of course, you know, a lot of selections are going to be, you know, like Chris Hemsworth, like sex appeal, right? So it's going to be about, you know, how that character. So I think almost anyone would watch Jason Momoa. So which is the Horseman from the Game of Thrones, right? So there is this race of people out in the desert. That's the Dragon Ladies with what was her? The is with him, right? So she had a child. She did have a child with him. The child died, but anyways, she got to birth these dragon eggs from all of that nonsense, and he was a main character, you know, like, so her name's Khaleesi, right? So she's what will bring the dragon, and if you're watching Game of Thrones, we're just all been waiting on the dragons to come out and there to be like some really fantasy battles and stuff. But it's been like 4 seasons of just like this one family being just beat up, right? So House Stark. Anyways, Jason is he's a character in there, and during the time of the height of, like, what is it, like season 4 or something, like, we're on like a season 6 right now, right? So back in season 4, you know, when before he died, right? So he was a character, his character dies, and you know, these characters go on other things, right? So, but it was just rumored that Jason was being considered for, you know, DC's Aquaman. And we were just playing around with that ideology, you know. So put someone else there. So the guy that I was saying would possibly be a good role is the guy from Dexter, right? Michael C. Hall. So why not try Michael C. Hall? But, you know, they're considering people like Jason Momoa, right? So for me, you know, there's a lot of people that could fill the role, but they weren't even considering Aquaman until Jason Momoa was being attached to it, you know, through popular culture. People were just saying that, hey, he would be a good time, because at the times, you know, the Batman and Superman film were being conjured and weren't here yet, right? So a lot of things were being rumored at the time, and you know, those are one of the things is that Jason would get that part, you know. So what it was rumored is that, you know, it would be released, or he would be the Aquaman in the Justice League of America film. So to the extent of my knowledge, and let's check on IMDb right now to see what phase Justice League is in. So it says it's Part 1, Justice League Part 1, 2017. The director is Zack Snyder. So if you all don't know, Zack Snyder did 300, and then he's done quite a few things since then. Watchmen, so Man of Steel, and then so it's interesting to have the Batman franchise helmed by Christopher Nolan, and then it go the way that it did, and then, you know, for him to be onto different projects, and then for him to just take new helms. So in Man of Steel, Christopher Nolan is the producer, right? So his brother's doing the writing, and then under his ability, we have gotten to see this new Man of Steel, right? So I wasn't a fan of the Dark Knight series. I mostly wasn't a fan of the stories. Like, if the stories were different and they were executed different, you know, I will possibly be a fan. But for me, the best things and the greatest things, you know, that I like from Nolan are Inception, right? So I very much enjoyed that one. I mean, there's no qualms with that one at all. That one, you know, you could think about for days. My one qualm with that one is that, you know, that the top didn't fall at the end, and that character died or whatever, right? So he was stuck in the system. Anywho, so we could always rewrite something else. Somebody go back and get it. But anyways, they don't intend to build that. And, you know, at the time he wasn't like a franchise player anyways, right? Until like The Dark Knight and you know, that went for 3 films. So he's on to a new series now and new things now. So I'm mostly interested to see if he'll be involved with Justice League. So I have Justice League up. So, and you can see all the Jason Momoa stuff on here. So if you go to let me see. Yeah, yo. So while we're sitting here speculating, I think he got casted. Let's see. If you go on IMDb, there's an Aquaman thing. It says for 2018, it says the writers have already written screenplays. It says the director is James Wan. It says it was last updated November 10th. So Momoa's there, yo. So what now does that change the episode? So Momoa's casted as Aquaman. So we know that. Maybe I'm late to the party, right? Cool. So it also says that there's going to be an untitled Batman reboot directed by Ben Affleck. Screenplay by Ben Affleck and Geoff Johns, which is a big prominent writer of Batman of the comic book, and it's going to star Batman. Says Ben Affleck has written the script already, and this was updated April 6, 2016. So it's like a week or two ago, yeah? Cool. For me, Ben was always a good choice for me. So I haven't seen the film yet, so I'm not really gonna talk about the film, but we can talk about the casting choices and such, like we have been all episode. So I I think so. Just like Thor, right? So it doesn't matter what the story was, because Momoa is such a good fit for that role. That's power, right? So and that's the way they're playing most of these characters. So one of the choices they haven't done that with is Mark Ruffalo, right? So he's not an obvious choice for Hulk, right? So Eric Bana was picked a little more like the rest of these guys, like Aquaman and Thor. So but Mark Ruffalo obviously wasn't, and I actually like some of the. I've always really, really liked Mark Ruffalo, and he was doing mostly independent things for a very, very long time. So even though his independent stuff was very big, but he did a really good big independent film recently, and it also and then their big independentness is like it's still high budget, but we're talking about how the story is written and how it is composed, so anyways, the film was really good. It also had the chick from Keira Knightley was also in it for Pirates of the Caribbean, I was gonna say, but it's trying to not do that and remember it. Let's see. I thought Begin Again. It was really good. I really, really thoroughly enjoyed that film a lot. If you ever get the chance, go check that one out, or any of the ones we've been talking about tonight. So what I'll do is I'll buy Jurassic World and we'll watch it, and then we'll talk about that. But I'd mostly like to pick it apart. So I liked how I was thinking earlier. I would just like how it would segue me into my Jason Momoa story, and just about how people fit the roles and such, and that carries a lot of projects. So just to let you know, Thor, the first one was okay, right? So it's hard to say it was really good. So and when you do say it's really good and it has things like that, really high sex appeal in it. So if they spin the movie like that, sometimes the story kind of sucks, so because all that you're really there for is for this this unknown attraction, right? So a lot of films are like that. So you watch any film with Arnold or Sylvester Stallone or you know, a lot of people that are, you know, big, you know, attractive, right? So, you know, Hollywood uses that, you know, and just the same way that they use, you know, very attractive women, right? So it is a psychology that is in, you know, within all humans. So it is very tactical, right, to do this with films, right? So, um, you know, a lot of the choices are really cool and based upon things like that. But this Mark Ruffalo one, you know, was based, you know, they wanted to portray Bruce Banner as a specific person, you know, and they thought that Bruce would be better like Mark, right? So he was an ideal choice, you know, but yeah, you know, yeah, if he and Chris were you know put together, you know, you're gonna obviously be able to tell, you know, who's the sexy choice, right? So, Aquaman obviously got the same thing, yeah, the same treatment. And sort of a lot of films. So, you know, you'll start to go back and you'll realize, so the story for Thor was kind of whack, right? So, and then so have been a lot. So has been the first Captain America was amazing. The second one was just, I mean, I went to sleep. So I told you guys, like, I have this human thing, you know, where if it's boring, I'm gonna go to sleep in the theaters, right? So I did it in Guardians of the Galaxy, and I did it in Thor 2, and hopefully I didn't see Iron Man 3 in theaters, but I would have gone to sleep for sure, right? So the Age of Ultron was okay. It was better than it was definitely. I thought it was better than Guardians. I didn't much care for Guardians. I went to sleep in that one too. So, but anyways, the worst one's probably Iron Man 3 or, you know, Green Lantern. But anyways, you know, quite a few have been doing very well, and those franchises are doing good. So, and then soon, hopefully, I'll be able to do the Superman and Batman one. So we went way over. So, but I wanted to make sure that we got a lot of coverage on, you know, some of the topics that we were covering. So, anywho, go and see some of the films that we're talking about, and come and watch tomorrow's show. Yeah.